Hello. Thank you for tuning in to Cosmic Co TV. I am Cosmic Co, aka Corian, metaphysical life coach, intuitive reader, astrologer, creative director, all of the things. And today I am here to talk about some herbs. Herbs and their spiritual uses, how I use them, how you could use them. Let's get into it. So I received a comment from a beautiful birdie, a little birdie, asking me about what are some herbs and how can you spiritually utilize them. So I wanted to share a few of my favorites. Hopefully you can take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I feel like herbs are very similar to crystal energy, in which they have their own properties, but based upon the human, they can affect or show up differently for each person, and just depending upon your own dynamic, how you utilize them, your own energy, and what you pair them with. So remember that. Also, another tip to remember is that whatever the herb is good for physically, meaning like health bodily wise, it is typically also good for that spiritually. So if a herb is good for purging, right, releasing toxins, then it is also good for that spiritually, cleansing, releasing toxins. And that's something that you can remember and utilize when being intentional in your day-to-day actions, the food you eat, what you season your food with, the teas that you drink, so on and so forth. So the first herb up is lavender. Lavender is a very common herb. We know it to be calming, peaceful, relaxing, a sedative of sorts. And that does tie into my favorite way to utilize lavender. It is a herb that I used to feel was overrated, that I really did not like, but I have come to appreciate and understand so deeply. The ways in which I relate to lavender, I also relate to amethyst, right? Amethyst is a crystal that I used to feel was so overused, so overhyped. And I have now grown to understand and appreciate. And I want to say that I feel like lavender and amethyst have very similar properties in the sense that they can invoke, or that they have this sort of violet flame of protection energy. So that is how I like to use amethyst. I like to use it as a neutralizer, as a purifier in cleansing and protective works. So the ways in which lavender is protective and neutralizing is anything that hits it or comes into contact with it, or that you have set intentions for, is now neutralized. It dissipates it versus sending it back out, or alchemizing it even. It disappears. It is a neutralizer. And I think that's also why it can be known to be relaxing and ease anxiety, because think about it. You can set intentions to clear aggression, to clear anxiety. So that means that anything in this space, or that is coming into this space, now is neutralized. It does not have strength, which in essence, it can be relaxing, so to speak. So that is my favorite way to utilize lavender. It is associated with Mercury and the air element. You can utilize it in endless ways: cleansers, room sprays, scents, fragrance oils. You can put it in teas and drink it. You can utilize it in your spiritual baths to be cleansing and protecting. You can even dress your candles with it. Another favorite of mine is nettle. Nettle is associated with the planet Mars and fire energy. Nettle is get shit done, okay? That is what I associate nettle with, the ability to get things done. I also see it as kind of like a mothering strength or power, not in the nurturing kind of way, but in the tough love kind of way. Nettle is highly protective. Once again, associated with that Mars energy, associated with the fire element. I love using nettle in both protective and in both road opener blockbuster work. In protective work, it doesn't dissipate, it repels back, it sends things back out. Nettle is great for like return to sender work. It is good for repelling jealousy or evil eye. It is great in blockbusters and road openers in the sense that it makes things happen. It clears things out of its way. I highly recommend utilizing it for any sort of transformation. Okay, if there's anything that you want to happen, that you need to happen, and that you kind of want it to happen quickly, I would recommend nettle for it. Okay, I think that it is definitely slept on in those senses. So yes, nettle is also another herb that you can drink in teas, and I recommend utilizing it for candle rituals, once again because it is associated with the fire elements. Last but not least, we have cloves, in which you can have ground cloves or whole cloves, in which I need to re-up on. But cloves are also associated with protective work, highly protective, great for repelling evil eye and jealousy once again. And it is also associated with the fire element. And although those are some of the most common uses for cloves, my favorite use for cloves is that it is attractive. Cloves also kind of has a deep earthy scent that reminds me of cinnamon and like patchouli. And it's something so enticing and mysterious about it. And I feel like that's the perfect way to sum up cloves. It's enticing, it's mysterious. So I want to come to it, and it draws me in, it allures me in. So you can utilize it in money rituals, in love rituals, in any sort of manifestation rituals, as well as protective work. I recommend using cloves in candle rituals, once again, because it is associated with the elements of fire. So you can use ground cloves to dress your candles, or you can use whole cloves and burn them for protection work in order to clear out and repel jealousy or evil eye. Another thing is cloves also can be drank as tea. And one way in which I like to utilize all three of these herbs together, cloves, lavender, and nettle, along with a few others I may mention in a different video, is I like to make a tea. I like to steep them. You can also put them in oil and make an oil, but I like to make a tea, and I use it on my hair. They are great for cleansing and protecting your crown chakra, and that is what I like to utilize it for, not just for its physical benefits, but for its spiritual benefits. I utilize it as a ritual, sometimes weekly, sometimes daily, to help protect my crown, to help protect against any psychic attacks, any spiritual attacks, and to help cleanse and repel any energy or any gunk that may get stuck or that may clog up my channel, so to speak. Since I am a reader, since I do offer spiritual work for others, and I do tap into and experience other people's energy pretty frequently. And if you have any recommendations or questions, please feel free to drop a comment below. Let me know if you utilize any of these herbs, how you prefer to utilize them, or if you plan to try out anything that I have recommended. I do thank you for tuning in. Do not forget to check the description bar below for more information on where you can find me on my other social media platforms, as well as how you can go about booking your own personal private reading service, astrology, coaching class, all of the things. I also have custom merchandise on that website as well. Feel free to check that out. Thank you. I appreciate you. It's all love, light beams.